Welcome aboard, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here, your steadfast advocate for health, welcoming you to another live edition of Fire Your MD Now, where we roll back the curtain on the absurdities of conventional medicine in dealing with chronic diseases and talk about the unheralded benefits, and quite frankly, possibilities inherent in holistic medical therapeutics, with an emphasis on holistic medical nutrition, with an emphasis on the medical nutrition developed and delivered by the Longevity Company through the agency of Dr. Joel Wallach, the world's leading holistic medical expert on nutrition. Wallach was in charge of $25 million of federally funded research from 1970 to 1982, conducted over 25,000 autopsies, 10 million blood chemistries and histopathologies. It was a 10-year labor of love, the result of which is in the Smithsonian Institution now. And this book, this research epic, written by Dr. Wallach, rewrote our understanding of the relationship between nutrition and optimal health. Dr. Wallach literally wrote the book on medical nutrition. So if you are frustrated with conventional medicine, if you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, if you know that there must be a better way, well, you have just found it. If your son or daughter wanted to play hockey and you had the choice for exactly the same money of hiring Wayne Gretzky or your high school hockey coach to teach them, who would you hire? You would hire the king, Wayne Gretzky. Well, it's the same with holistic medicine. If you're up against it and if your health is suffering, which everybody's health seems to be these days, and you know that there must be something better to do, then it would perhaps be prudent for you to lean on the world's leading expert on holistic medical nutrition, Dr. Wallach. That's what I would do. That's what I would do for the first 90 days. I would take Dr. Wallach's advice and run with it 100%. And this is what we do here on this radio program mostly. We talk about Dr. Wallach's foundation boilerplate medical nutrition for the masses. It's medical nutrition for the masses. This is the idea here. We don't need individualized medical appointments, private appointments with holistic physicians. Sometimes you do, but most of the times you do not. Most of the times the only thing that's necessary is to give your body a chance. Give your body the raw materials that it needs in order to function optimally. The research concludes there are 90 essential nutrients, 90 nutrients that the body needs in order to function optimally. A nutrient is classified as essential if the body needs it, but the body cannot make it. There are 90 essential nutrients which are optimal for your body to function the way that God and nature intended it to. But the nutrients necessary, the 90 essential nutrients, are not present in the food. They are not all there. Some of them are there, but they're not all there. So it is mandatory, in order to give your body a leg up, to give your body a fighting chance to optimize its structure and function, it is mandatory to feed your body the 90 essential nutrients. They are not present in the food chain. So, this is what we bring to the table, a recommendation for boilerplate foundation medical nutrition interventions, the intention of which are to support and promote healthy hearts, support and promote healthy lungs, support and promote healthy kidneys, support and promote healthy brain chemistry, joint function, so forth and so on. Quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, we've been culturally conditioned to believe a number of myths, things that have just become reality by consensus, reality because everybody believes it to be so. Myth number one, your MD is the undisputed king of the domain of medicine and everybody else is a back-of-the-bus quack. The only people that practice medicine are the MDs. Everybody else practices alternative medicine, which is tantamount to saying that the only real dog is a German Shepherd and all other dogs are alternative dogs. It's nonsense. Myth number two, healing is a complicated, sophisticated process which can only happen in multi-million-dollar high-tech facilities. It's nonsense. Surgery is complicated. Surgery is complicated. Healing is easy. If you cut your hand, do you have to tell your body what to do to fix it? Secrete fibrinogen and upregulate T helper cell response and upregulate macrophage response time? No. You don't even know what that is. You just keep the darn thing clean and it fixes itself. Well, this is our whole position. Your body has intelligence given to it by virtue of the spiritual force which inhabits the body. I don't care what you call it. Call it a soul, call it a spirit, call it the vital force, call it the key. I don't care what you call it. Whatever it is that brings light to your eyes, whatever it is that leaves the building when you die, is bringing to the building intelligence and is running the show. Our bodies are so smart, they grew themselves all by themselves from a tiny single-celled organism into us. Now, do you think if the body has the ability to grow itself, it has the ability to fix itself? Well, every holistic physician in the world argues yes, absolutely, positively it does. Every MD in the world argues no. Because MDs are trained in the antithesis of holism, which is reductionism. Medical doctors are not trained in holistic medicine. Medical doctors are trained in reductionistic medicine. Reductionistic medicine is really great and best suited for trauma, surgery when it's absolutely necessary, and when you are attempting to kill things like kill bugs, right? Bacteria and viruses and microbes, yeast, mold, parasites. That's what reductionism is good for. Surgery when it's necessary, trauma care, and a handful of infectious diseases. But reductionistic medicine, when applied to a holistic organism, attempting to interface with a chronic disease is a fool's errand and should be avoided completely. And this is why we have such unbelievably piss-poor health outcomes all around the world. It's because we've taken the wrong dog to the hunt. We've brought a body suffering with a chronic disease to the office of a reductionistically trained MD. And that's a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for disaster. You know, the MDs, by virtue of their training, it's like a football team that doesn't have a passing game. All they do is run the ball all the time. That's all they do. Every once in a while they're going to score, but if they don't have a passing game, they're going to end up at the bottom of the league, and so it is with the MDs. While we've given our trust to the MDs practicing reductionistic medicine, our health has gone to hell in a handbasket. Alzheimer's has risen from obscurity to become the 6th leading cause of death. Autism used to be 1 out of 10,000. Now it's 1 of 89. Obesity, 33% of American adults are obese. It's skyrocketed in our childhood population. It is an epidemic of biblical proportions, thanks to the MDs. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease accelerating, cancer, no cure in sight. After nearly $1 trillion of research money started by President Richard Nixon in the 60s. You know how much $1 trillion is? It's a lot. So the MDs fail, and they 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 fail, and we keep giving them money. Because we don't know any different, and we've all drunk the Kool-Aid that the MD knows what's best, and just by virtue of the fact that they went to reductionistic medical school, they have the secret decoder ring to all things medical, and everybody else has substandard, back-of-the-bus, alternative quack training. That's what you've been taught. My profession is only licensed to practice medicine in 18 states in the United States, which means it's illegal for me to practice medicine in the majority of the states in the United States, which, again, is tantamount to passing a law which says, well, the only people that can sell hamburgers in your state is McDonald's. Nobody else gets to sell hamburgers there. The only people that can sell jeans in your state is Costco. You want a pair of jeans, you got to go to Costco. You wouldn't put up with that. But you do put up with that when it comes to medicine. And you suffer because of it. But because this is such an overarching national, international phenomenon, the monopolization of the medical marketplace by the MDs, because they have been in the driver's seat for so long, you actually think they know what they're doing, even though they fail you consistently. Now look, you're welcome to your own opinion, but not your own set of facts. The leading cause of death in the United States, MD-directed medical therapeutics. 780,000 people a year are killed by MD-directed medical therapeutics. That's more than die from heart disease. That's more than die from cancer. The leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States, MD-directed medical therapeutics. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pour ice water over our heads and give the MDs tens of millions of dollars to come up with a cure for amyotrophic lateral sclerosis when, under their stewardship, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis shot through the roof. I mean, that's like giving the guy that sank the Titanic, making him an admiral of the fleet and giving him charge of, all of he's the admiral of the Navy. He's in charge of everything now. He sunk the Titanic, but that's okay. We're going to give him a pass. You see, the socialization here is so utter and complete that we miss the obvious. And it's right in front of our face. It's right in front of our face. MD-directed medical treatments are the leading cause of death. And while we've given ourselves over to the MDs, our health is getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. But because they're everywhere all the time and because they've out-legislated everybody else, because they put my colleagues in jail, because they've slandered the chiropractors, because they defame every other medical profession in the world, they remain in the catbird seat, backed by pharmaceutical money, which is gigantic. Ladies and gentlemen, it's all time we collectively woke up. If you're suffering with a chronic disease, the best possible thing you can do is fire your medical doctor and get on board with science-based, clinically verified, holistic medical nutrition for the masses. And that's exactly my job. Stick around. Dr. Peter Glidden here. Now, knowledge is power and we need perspective. We don't have any. Remember, I said that the MDs, by virtue of their training, are, they are not equipped at all to help you recover from chronic disease. As a matter of fact, they are not even trained to be concerned with what causes your disease. They are only trained to be able to manage it, case in point. I'm taking this information. I am reading what I'm about to read you from ALSA.org. ALSA.org, the ALS Association Research Program website. Here is a list of the research that has already been funded for amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. This is where your money has gone and is going to continue to go. The average volume assured pressure in ALS patients with nocturnal hypoventilation, a randomized crossover trial. So they're looking to see what happens to the volume of air in the lungs of people with ALS. ALS and airway clearance. Is there a best therapy for airway clearance in patients with ALS? This means when you have ALS, your voluntary muscles stop working. So most ALS people suffocate to death unless they're on a lung machine. So the lung machine breathes for them because they can't breathe anymore on their own. So rather than try and figure out what causes ALS and what to do to fix it so that people don't get it, or even, dare I say, attempt to cure it, they're doing research about how to deal with the effects of ALS. A randomized crossover study of standard and low expiratory pressure NIPPV in ALS patients. Again, they're researching how ALS patients respond to different lung machines. How ALS patients respond to different lung machines. Isn't that great? The measurement and treatment of respiratory impairment in patients with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Again, they're not concerned with what causes it. They're not trying to figure out what causes it and how to cure it. They're just attempting to figure out how to manage patients better so they can keep them alive longer so they can bill their insurance more. The effects of a strengthening program on the maximum voluntary isometric contraction, functional abilities, fatigue, and quality of life in patients with ALS, which means if you have ALS and you go to the gym, is that good for you or is that bad for you? Again, no concern whatsoever with what causes ALS or how to cure it. Randomized, placebo, crossover, controlled trial with Delta, 9-tetrahydrocannabinol, THC, marijuana, for the treatment of cramps in amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. They don't care what causes it and how to cure it, but they want to know whether or not marijuana can help reduce the effects of cramps that people get. Isn't that just a great way to spend your ice bucket money? Personal hope and the family milieu, impact on medical decision-making and the quality of life. That means, how long are we going to leave Grandpa in the hospital before we take him out and take him off the lung machine and he dies? How long are we going to do that? Optimizing the lung machine use for patients with ALS, modifying nutritional therapy in ALS patients with changes in respiratory status, factors which affect the quality of life in the caregivers of ALS patients, diaphragm training in amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. You've got to be kidding me. This is where your money's going, ladies and gentlemen. This is where your research money is going. Again, we must understand, I'm not making this stuff up. Conventional medical practitioners, by virtue of their grounding in reductionism, and your MD is not trained in medicine, they're trained in reductionistic medicine. Reductionistic medicine argues your body is a biochemical bag waiting to break, and that when it does break, it is not the physician's duty to figure out how to fix it. It's the physician's job to manage your symptoms. Your medical doctor can't even cure heartburn. They can manage it with the little purple pill, but they can't cure it. Now, do you think if they can't cure heartburn, they're going to be able to cure ALS? No, they're not even looking for a cure. And quite frankly, when they do actually attempt to look for a cure, they get that backwards too. I'll be talking about that on tomorrow's radio program. Ladies and gentlemen, stop throwing money into a dry well. ALS research money given to a reductionistically trained doctoral, a PhD, or an MD is a fool's errand, and it is a waste of money. Stop it. Bad dog. No biscuit. Stick around. So much more to come. We're back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here, your steadfast advocate for health. 54 people in the chat room, 57 people watching on YouTube. Now, if you're a new listener or a new viewer, you may be a little, your mind might be twisting right now around its axis. Because, you don't know what you don't know, and the stuff that I'm talking about is so far outside of most people's reference ranges that they didn't even know they didn't know that. We tell people that butter is good, that oil is bad, and their head explodes. We tell people that salt is good, and their heads explode. We tell people that exercise is bad, and their heads explode. We tell people to stop eating wheat, barley, rye, and oats, and they run into the woods screaming and sobbing in despair. In any event, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. By the way, I don't screen any calls. I have no idea what my callers are going to say. All I can see on my screen is their name, where they're calling from, and a short little blurb. Let's go to Seattle and talk to Ileana about a testimonial, and I'm going to, hopefully, you'll be able to hear firsthand what actually happens when people get on board with science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. Remember, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Let's go to Seattle. Hey, Ileana, thanks so much for the phone call. You are live.
Good afternoon, Dr. Glidden.
How are you?
I am doing so much better than when we spoke when you were here in Seattle.
All right, great. So bring the listening audience up to speed. And have we spoken since? Have we spoken since I've been back from Seattle at all?
No, this is our first moment speaking since you spoke in Seattle.
Okay, great. So I'm on the edge of my seat. Tell the audience where you were then and where you are now.
Okay. Well, you were quite a good listener, and that's, for me, a really big difference between holistic health care and the MD care. And you wrote down a few notes, and I'll bring them up to date on that. I was experiencing bloating, constipation, and diarrhea, an extreme hunger that was sort of like an out-of-my-mind kind of hunger all day long, irregardless of what I consumed. I would wake in the morning exhausted, as if I hadn't slept in a week. I was thirsty all day long, despite drinking 10 to 11 cups of either my longevity drinks or water. And my weight was stuck, I believe, because of inflammation, even though I dropped my calories low to try to get my weight loss, which had been successful in the past, to get it back moving again. Historically, I've lost about 110 pounds already with good foods, bad foods, inflammation, and longevity. And I was just kind of stuck and feeling rough and wasn't sure what the problem was. We had to talk about that.
Yes, we did. I remember. But look, I don't want to just brush over the 110 pound weight loss. I mean, that's epic. You lost 110 pounds?
At my top weight, I weighed 352 pounds.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
And I got that way by listening. I got that way by listening to my MDs. They said, eat a lot of healthy grains and don't eat fat. And that made me really, really huge and really, really sick.
Crazy. So, I mean, that's awesome. All right. So you dropped 110 pounds and your health is progressing. Things are brightening up for you. But then you got stuck. We have a little one-on-one chat a couple of weeks ago in Snohomish, Washington. And where are you at now?
You recommended that I try several adjustments. One was a homeopathic called Pulsatilla Nigrotin 1M.
Yeah.
I ordered that, and it came, and my entire community celebrated the day it came in the mail, as they were tired of seeing me not feel my best. There was much joy and jumping and screaming, and they couldn't wait for me to put the 3 pellets in my mouth, which I did. Had a big night that night. I put the pellets in my mouth. I was worried about getting through a really important social event. I was going out with my dearest for her birthday. And we went ahead and went out and had a lovely time. I had enough energy that, this exhausted me that had been waking up after 8 hours sleep, unable to feel like I could get to the bathroom. I was so tired. I had enough energy that night after the Pulsatilla Nigrotin dose to, at 10:30 at night, after a full day, several full days of caring for children and working in my business, which I love, but lots of work. At the end of the day, I'd go out with Nep for her birthday, and at 10:30, she hadn't had a nap, and she was, ready to turn in. And I was like, let's party till dawn. I'm ready to take dancing. Let's go do some more fun things.
That's
I feel
remarkable,
great.
isn't it? I know, it's crazy.
Yeah, one dose, Doc.
Gotta love it.
You also recommended that I reduce my selenium intake.
Yeah.
See what that would do. For 1 week, I took 1 selenium in the morning and 1 in the evening. And I don't understand why, but the hunger is gone. I'm maintaining very well on 2 or 3 small meals, depending on how much exercise I get per day. They're very well thought out, good food meals. And I'm, of course, taking all my supplements. And I am, for the first time in this entire journey around my weight loss, I am experiencing something other longevity people have described to me. And I had faith it might happen for me one day. But living it, Dr. Glidden, I'm so full of joy right now. I feel like I'm going to explode like fireworks on the 4th of July. I make a meal, and instead of pain and constipation and diarrhea and bloating and social awkwardness, my daughter can soft boil me or scramble me a few eggs while I'm helping somebody figure out their protocols for longevity who's excited about this like I am. And she'll just bring me a few eggs. And I feel like $1 million. and it's enough, and I might have more than I need and send the rest back for someone else or for compost.
So simple tweaking of the boilerplate Foundation Medical Nutrition Program was sufficient to the cause to get you over the hump and bring you back into the land of the living. So your energy's back, the distress after eating meals is gone, the intense gnawing hunger is gone, your energy is what most people would consider normal now, and all of a sudden, it's as if a train which was derailed is now suddenly back on the tracks, rolling down the tracks, gaining ground on the destination in sight every single solitary day, just from a little tiny tweak here or there. Is this what I'm hearing?
Yes, wait, it gets better than that, Dr.
All right, I'm still sitting down.
I regained some of that 110 pounds that I've lost, and I've been determined, pig-headedly determined to solve my lack of information because, you perish for lack of knowledge, I've heard.
Yeah.
I was determined to figure out what I was doing wrong or right or what I need to just shift a little so that I could get that weight moving again. And I am a strength and conditioning coach who assists other people in fine-tuning their nutrition so that they can have these experiences that I'm having. And I couldn't figure out what to do to get my weight shifted. I know lots of tricks that are healthy and in harmony with the body, and not one, not all of them together before you spoke to me were working. I was very frustrated. But since you've left, since the couple days before you left, I had a little idea, and you added some ideas. Something has shifted because in 17 days, I've lost 3.4 pounds of that inflammation, and I feel different. I think different. I move differently.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, the best is yet to come, Ileana, really. You have such a remarkable health history. You have such a remarkable story. Someday, I'd like you to call in and just tell the listening audience your whole story, because in the world of Longevity Nation, you are in the top 5 people of just remarkable, jaw-dropping, mind-altering testimonials. No kidding. My hat goes off to you. I appreciate so much your trust. I appreciate so much your hanging in there when the going got rough, and instead of abandoning ship, understanding, right? Knowledge is power. And there just had to be something that needed to be tweaked, to something, a little screw tightened here, a little bolt unloosened here, just a little bit of massaging the protocol, and you did it. You took my advice, and it worked. And what I really would like to underline here for the listening audience is that the recommendations that I had for Ileana were based on like a 10-minute conversation. It was not in the context of a private office consultation. We didn't need to do diagnostic stuff. We didn't need to do blood work. We didn't need to do any type of diagnostic discovery. Why? Because healing is easy. Healing is easy. Your medical doctor is playing you. Quite frankly, your medical doctor just doesn't know how to help your body fix itself. You don't need, in most cases, thousands of dollars of diagnostic discovery and hours of times in the physician's office. You just need a little bit of understanding. Look, when you cut your hand, someone needs to teach you and tell you need to keep it clean and put a bandage on it. And that's all you need to do. That takes, 2 minutes? Well, guess what? The information that I have on my website, Dr. Glidden's Insider subscription service, if you go to my website and become an insider, it's $20 a month. It will be the best money you have ever spent in your life towards getting your health back. Because does medical insurance do anything to support and promote the health, structure, and function of your body? No. It does nothing except give you access to the leading cause of death in the United States, MDs. So look, folks, follow Ileana's lead. Become educated. It's easy. If you can pass the driver's license test, you're smart enough to figure this stuff out, because it's not complicated. It's easy. Healing is easy. Surgery is complicated. Ileana, you are the best. You rock. Say hello to everyone in your life for me. Continue the good fight and call us anytime. I appreciate everything that you do. And listen, your community needs you more than you know. So, just hang in there. Keep on doing what you do, and the best really is yet to come.
All right, Dr. Glidden, I have one instruction you gave me for a little follow-up lab work, and it is scheduled. I would like to call you back after that and tell you how things are going again.
Yeah, awesome, because, we need a little bit of objective discovery here every once in a while to make sure that we're on the right road. Was that the blood sugar or the thyroid stuff I wanted you to do?
Yes, both. They are scheduled and will happen in the first week of September. And
Great.
After I get those results, maybe about mid-September, I'd love to call you again and tell you how we're continuing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll look forward to it, Ileana. Keep up the good work in the great state of Washington, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, has an awesome law covering naturopathic therapeutics. Did you know that in the state of Washington, as a naturopathic physician, I can deliver babies, perform minor surgery, prescribe drugs, how about that, work in hospitals, call myself a physician, order any diagnostic test that I want, and it's all covered by insurance. Washington State is extremely progressive and always has been in their support and promotion of naturopathic medical therapeutics, which is juxtaposed against Illinois, where not so long ago I was sued for $5,000 by the Illinois Department of Professional Regulation because I had the word doctor on my website. Unbelievable. You think we have a free medical market? Think again. Snap out of it. Take your head out of the sand like Ileana and everyone else in Longevity Nation has done, and get your health back today. Love testimonials. Love Longevity Nation. It really is quite remarkable. Folks, if you had any idea of the things that I've seen people recover from with naturopathic medicine, homeopathic medicine, applied foundation, medical nutrition, the people would be lined up to talk to me. It would take, I'd have a waiting list 5 years long. Because this stuff is not this. We're not talking about a miracle cure panacea. We're not talking about that. But what we are talking about is new-fashioned, science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition formulated by the world's leading expert on medical nutrition. And that beats a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. I mean, look, by cleaning up the water supply, by having public sanitation, and by having the government subsidize food production, we doubled life expectancy. That didn't involve going to a doctor or having any type of medical treatment. So when you give your body the right nutrition and you stop eating the 10 bad foods, guess what? You take the next step towards longevity. And I'm going to be talking about that Thursday night. This Thursday night's webinar, that's tomorrow night. Having a webinar tomorrow night. Free for the world, anti-aging, a free webinar for the world. Go to drglidden.com for details. It's free, and that beats a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. Patty from Georgia is up next. Hey, Patty, thanks so much for the phone call. You are live.
Yes.
Hello, Patty. Thanks for the call. How can I help?
Yes, I recently found out that I have fibroadenoma, which is like a fibrostic glandular benign tumor in my breast.
Yeah.
And the doctors recommended to pretty much take it out. But I've been doing research, and I've learned that even though I would have a surgery, there's always a chance for it to come back again, and it's more, and there's a high probability of it coming back. So I was wondering what is another method that I could get rid of it without actually going under surgery.
Well, you don't need to go under surgery, right? And this, you're smart, and what you just talked about really underlines a very important point to ponder for people in the listening audience. The tumor, whether it's benign or cancerous, is not the disease. It is the result of the disease. The high blood pressure is not the disease. It is the result of the disease. The arthritic joint is not the disease. It is the result of the disease. The funky nerve in amyotrophic lateral sclerosis is not the disease. It is the result of the disease. But the MDs, because they're trained in a reductionistic method, don't care about that. They see a tumor, their job is to cut it out. They see an arthritic joint, their job is to cut it out. But you're absolutely right. The surgery does nothing to eliminate the cause of the disease. Right? It's like painting over the mold in your basement with paint. And even if it's Glidden paint, the mold's going to come back because you have to fix the water intrusion into the house. I mean, that's just common sense. And you would think that people who hold themselves up in the community as the champions of medical science, as the champions of human suffering, would know this. You would think it's elementary. But they do not know this. And this is a problem. So you are absolutely positively right. Now, interestingly enough, there's been some very interesting research done about this. Green tea is very effective at supporting and promoting healthy breast tissue, and I believe that the mechanism there is the antioxidant mechanism, right? Green tea is loaded with antioxidants. On my website, drglidden.com, I have an insider subscription service. It's $20 a month, and I have over 200 hours of archived health webinars that I've done. You have access to, immediate access to. I did one webinar on antioxidants, and I'd like you to become an insider and watch that, because you need, in my opinion, 100,000 ORAC points of antioxidants a day, 100,000 ORAC points of antioxidants a day. You also need a little bit of extracurricular nutritional help, and we're up against the hard break. If you can stick with me, Patty, I'll bring you up at the very top of the next segment. I appreciate your patience. Hold on. We'll be back after these commercial messages. Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Peter Glidden, and this is Fire Your MD Now.